Here are two methods for finding x when square root of x is equal to negative square root of x. There is a way of finding the answer as 0, which is in method 1, but there's another way of showing that x does not exist, which is in method 2. Which is correct? Why or why not? Okay, let's have a look. Here is the first method. So notice we have square root of x is equal to negative square root of x. This part and that part are the same. So notice the only number so that itself is equal to negative of itself is 0. So you can see that, notice 0 is equal to negative 0. So this implies that square root of x should be equal to 0. Therefore, we can see that x is equal to 0. I will tell you this right here works, and in fact this is the only answer as well, so we are done. However, sometimes you have to be careful because when you just notice a situation, right, notice a case that will make this equation work, maybe there are other cases that could also make this work. But in this case, 0 is the only number that makes this work, so we are done. Yeah. And now let's look at the second method. So this and that, perhaps we'll start off by saying that it's equal to y, that y equal square root of x. So this equation becomes, this is the y, and that is equal to negative, that is going to be y. Okay, then what do we do next though? Right here, if we divide both sides by y, because we have y on both sides, then in that case, on the left hand side, y over y should just be equal to 1. And then the right hand side, okay, we have a negative, and y over y once again is 1. And you see that negative 1 is equal to 1. Of course, that does not make any sense. So this is impossible. Meaning, this equation should have no solution. But I'll tell you, this right here is actually incorrect. And the reason is because cannot divide it by y. Can't do this. Why? Because the truth is y is actually equal to 0, and when we divide both sides by y, we are dividing by 0. So this is the dividing by 0 case, which is bad. So don't do that. This is the bad part. So cross that out as well. Okay, these are the two methods. This right here will give you the answer, but is there a way to actually solve it? Here is how you can actually solve this equation. Square root of x is equal to negative square root of x. Firstly, do not divide it by square root of x, both sides, because that would be the same as dividing both sides by y. And if you do that, you are actually dividing both sides by 0. Instead, I'm going to bring this to the other side by adding square root of x to both sides. That way, this and that cancel to 0, and then we have square root of x plus another one. We have two of them, and that is equal to 0. 2 times square root of x is equal to 0. We can divide both sides by 2. We are dividing both sides by 2. It's not 0, so this is legitimate. And square root of x is equal to 0 divided by 2, which is 0. Now, if we think about it, square root of what number will give us 0? There's only one way to do it, namely x is equal to 0. And you can square both sides as a process to get that. You can see that x is equal to 0. But you have to be careful, because when you square both sides, in fact, you also have to check the answer, because sometimes when we square both sides, we may end up with extra solutions that actually don't work. They are called the extraneous solutions. But 0 does work, because square root of 0 is equal to negative square root of 0, because 0 is equal to 0. 0 is equal to negative 0, so it does work. So here is the answer, just like that.